2 a.m. You're sitting alone in a dark room. The only light is the cold, blue glow of your phone screen reflecting in your eyes. The rest of the house is entirely silent, but inside your mind, it feels like a crowded stadium. You're swiping from one short video to the next. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, X, and back again. It is a seamless, infinite loop of other people's lives. You let out a short, hollow laugh at a meme you'll forget in 3 seconds. You watch a man angrily ranting into a microphone about modern dating dynamics. You see a girl crying to her front-facing camera about her ex-boyfriend. You listen to a 19-year-old in a rented sports car explaining how to become a millionaire before you turn 30. You watch a perfectly curated morning routine, a travel vlog from Bali, a cooking tutorial, a political argument, a cat video. And then, suddenly, you lock the screen. The screen goes black, and you catch a glimpse of your own reflection in the dark glass. You stare up at the ceiling, and you feel it. A strange, heavy sensation creeping into your chest. A tightness. Something you can't quite put into words. It is not sadness, exactly. It is not anger. It is an overwhelming sense of emptiness. Despite being digitally connected to 8 billion people, you feel a profound, crushing loneliness. A loneliness no previous generation in the history of our species has ever experienced. But here is the terrifying truth, the reality that no one wants to admit out loud. This isn't just your story. It is not an isolated incident. It has become the default baseline of the modern human condition. The scary question isn't why people have become lonely. The real question, the one that should keep us awake at night, is this. How did we build an entire civilization, a sprawling digital world where a human being can be surrounded by people 24 hours a day, constantly communicating, constantly visible, and still feel completely and utterly invisible? What we are living through right now isn't just a passing social crisis. It is not a generational phase. It might be the single greatest psychological mutation in human history. We are fundamentally altering the way the human brain interacts with reality. And the problem? Most people haven't even noticed it's happening to them. They think they are just tired. They think they are just stressed. But by the end of this episode, you will look at your life, your phone, and your relationships through a completely different, almost terrifying lens. Let's rewind. 20 years ago, loneliness was a purely physical state. If you were alone, you were literally alone. In a room, with your thoughts. No messages. No push notifications. No infinite scrolling feeds of strangers' lives. You had to confront your solitude. Today, you wake up to 100 notifications. You spend hours texting, sharing memes, sending voice notes. You consume the daily lives of thousands of strangers. And yet, you go to sleep feeling an unexplainable, hollow void inside. You are overstimulated, but emotionally starved. Psychologists and sociologists are noticing a terrifying, undeniable correlation. The more connected our world becomes technologically, the higher the rates of profound clinical loneliness. The more tools we have to reach each other, the less we actually feel felt. This paradox is not an accident. It is not a glitch in the system. It is the direct result of how the modern digital world was intentionally engineered. To understand how they did this to us, we have to understand our own biological wiring. Humans were not built for this. For thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary history, we lived in small, tight-knit tribes. The British anthropologist Robin Dunbar famously proposed Dunbar's number, a cognitive limit to the number of people with whom one can maintain stable social relationships. That number is roughly 150. You were meant to know 150 people. Everyone knew you. You knew everyone. You knew their parents, their children, their flaws, their strengths. Belonging wasn't just a nice feeling. It was a matter of physical survival. If you were rejected by the tribe, if you were exiled, you died. Starvation or predators would get you. Because of this, the human brain is terrifyingly sensitive to social rejection. It is terrified of feeling irrelevant. To the primitive brain, being ignored means death. And this exact evolutionary survival mechanism is where modern technology hacks the deepest vulnerability in the human psyche. The apps on your phone are no longer competing for your time. Time is just a byproduct. They are competing for your fundamental psychological needs. They are hacking your need for attention, your need for belonging, your need for validation, your need for status, and ultimately, your need for love. And the most dangerous, insidious part? They feed you a fast, synthetic, junk food version of all of them. Imagine this. You take a photo. You apply a filter to make your skin look flawless. You write a witty caption. You hit post. And you wait. You enter a state of high neurological anticipation. Ding. A like. Ding. A comment. Ding. A new follower. Every tiny notification, every red badge on your screen, shoots a targeted hit of dopamine straight into your brain's reward pathways. It is a brief, fleeting moment that whispers to your primitive brain, you are seen. You exist. The tribe accepts you. You matter. But the problem is, these digital rewards are incredibly short-lived. They have no nutritional value for the soul. They evaporate almost instantly, leaving a deeper hunger behind. So you come back, and you swipe again. You check your phone while talking to a friend. You check it at a red light. You check it in the bathroom. Your phone has stopped being a tool for communication. It has become a pacifier, an emotional regulation device used to numb any discomfort, boredom, or anxiety. Have you ever wondered why you pull down your screen to refresh your feed? That specific motion, pull to refresh, was not designed by accident. It was designed to perfectly mimic the pull of a lever on a slot machine in a Las Vegas casino. It operates on a psychological principle called intermittent variable rewards. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's a funny video. Sometimes it's a message from someone you like. Because the reward is unpredictable, your brain becomes addicted to the anticipation. You are gambling with your own attention. This is what terrifies clinical psychologists today. Hundreds of millions of people are no longer using the internet for entertainment or information. They are using it to run away from their own internal emptiness. They are using it to silence the deafening roar of their own unexamined thoughts. But what happens next is much darker. Because the brain is highly adaptable, neuroplasticity ensures that whatever we do repeatedly, we become wired for. The brain gets used to fast, frictionless, low-risk interactions. Short conversations, short videos, short attention spans. Even our emotional bandwidth becomes short. And slowly, invisibly, our capacity to build deep, meaningful, enduring relationships begins to collapse. We develop an illusion of intimacy without the actual work of intimacy. This brings us to the epidemic of parasocial relationships. A parasocial relationship is a one-sided connection where one person extends emotional energy, interest, and time, and the other party, the creator, the influencer, the celebrity, is completely unaware of their existence. You watch a podcaster or a vlogger for hundreds of hours. You hear them talk about their childhood, their fears, their daily routines. Your brain, evolved for a tribe of 150 people, cannot tell the difference between a face on a glowing screen and a physical human in your living room. You feel like they are your friend. You feel a deep, comforting connection. But it is a ghost. It is a phantom. You have substituted the messy, difficult, beautiful reality of a real friendship, which requires compromise, vulnerability, and showing up when it's inconvenient, for a safe, curated, one-way broadcast. You never have to argue with a podcast host. You never have to support a YouTuber when they are sick. It is intimacy without vulnerability, and it leaves you desperately lonely in the real world, because you have spent all your social energy on ghosts. This exact same collapse is happening in modern romance. Real life is slow. Real humans are messy, complicated, and deeply flawed. Real love requires unbearable patience, forgiveness, and a willingness to see someone on their worst days. But the internet? The internet offers instant stimulation with zero effort. It offers the illusion of infinite choice. Enter dating apps. They have gamified human connection. They have turned the profound, mysterious act of finding a partner into a catalog of human faces. Swipe left. Swipe right. Reject. Accept. We treat human beings like items in an online shopping cart. And because the brain believes there is an endless supply of potentially better matches just one swipe away, we lose the ability to commit. Why work through a difficult conversation with your partner when you can download an app and find someone new in 10 minutes? We enter relationships with a consumer mindset. We expect people to come prepackaged to fit our exact specifications, and the moment they display human friction, we discard them. Human connection has been reduced to consumerism. We are window shopping for love, and as a result, we are starving for it. It's the most dangerous, self-reinforcing psychological loop of our era. The lonelier we feel, the more we escape into the digital world seeking connection. And the more we escape into the digital world, the more isolated we become from physical reality, leading to deeper loneliness. We are drinking salt water to quench our thirst, but it doesn't stop at how we view others. The internet changed how we view ourselves. And this might be the most destructive chapter of the story. The phenomenon of the Panopticon. In the past, you compared yourself to a limited pool of people. Your neighbors, your classmates, your cousins. You could easily be the best football player in your school or the funniest person in your office. Today, you are comparing yourself to the top 0.1% of the entire human population. Every single minute, you see perfect, sculpted bodies, perfect, harmonious relationships, perfect, hyper-successful careers, perfect, aesthetically pleasing morning routines. Even sadness, trauma, and mental illness are now filmed, filtered, and romanticized to look poetic and beautiful. When you are exposed to this constantly, a quiet, toxic shift happens in your mind. You begin to feel that your life is permanently defective. You look at your average, normal, perfectly acceptable life, and it feels like a failure. This is exactly why so many people in their 20s and 30s feel a crushing anxiety that they are already behind in life. Behind whom? Behind an algorithmically curated illusion. But wait, the architecture of this loneliness goes deeper. We don't just consume the illusion, we are forced to participate in it. We have become our own personal PR managers. We curate our lives. We post the highlights. We hide the struggles. We are constantly performing for an invisible, judgmental audience. This creates a fractured identity. There is the real you, the one who is tired, anxious, and wearing sweatpants on a Tuesday night. And there is the digital you, the one who is always traveling, always smiling, always thriving. The gap between those two identities creates an immense psychological strain. You start to feel like an imposter in your own life. You realize you are loved and validated not for who you actually are, but for the avatar you have created. And there is nothing more lonely than being praised for a mask you are wearing. You cannot take the mask off because you fear the real you will not be accepted, so you keep performing. You document your life more than you live it. A beautiful sunset? Film it. A touching moment? Put it on your story. An experience isn't real unless it has digital proof. You have become a spectator of your own existence. And who benefits from all this performance? The tech giants. They understand these psychological triggers with frightening precision. Algorithms do not have a moral compass. They do not ask, what makes this user happy? What brings this user peace? What helps this user grow? They only ask one mathematical question. What keeps this user scrolling the longest? There is a terrifying difference between those two objectives. Because the content that grabs your attention and holds it hostage is rarely the content that brings you psychological stability. That is why the internet runs on outrage, drama, polarization, fear, endless comparison, political tribalism. Strong, negative emotions guarantee longer watch times. Anger is the most viral emotion on earth. But what happens to the human soul, to the fabric of a society, when it lives inside a war zone of constant, extreme emotions every single day? Our personalities begin to mutate. Slowly, silently. We lose our baseline of calm. We lose the ability to be patient, to focus on a single task, to sit in silence. Solitude itself has become terrifying. If there is even 1 minute of silence, a red light at a crosswalk, waiting in line for a coffee, lying in bed before sleep, your hand automatically reaches for your phone. It's an involuntary muscle memory. It's as if silence has become a psychological threat. The digital world has rewired our brains for constant hyperstimulation. Stillness now feels like a symptom of failure. It feels like an unbearable void. Think about this for a second. Truly think about it. How many people actually know who they are when they log off? When the screen goes dark, when there is no music playing, no podcast in the background, no feed to scroll, who are you? Without the constant influx of other people's thoughts, do you even know what your own thoughts sound like? We are facing a modern identity crisis, born from the fact that our attention is no longer our own. Human attention has been commodified. It is the new oil. Every app, every notification, every headline wants a piece of your mind. Every platform wants to be the absolute center of your psychological reality. They want to extract your focus and sell it to advertisers. And you? You are just a human being, caught in the crossfire, trying not to feel alone. This is why the crisis is so overwhelmingly complex. People aren't just looking for cheap entertainment. They are looking for profound meaning. They are looking for a tribe. They are looking for a sense of belonging. But the internet offers a fast, cheap, highly processed substitute for reality. The brain gets the rapid-fire stimulation it craves, but the soul starves for genuine, unmediated connection. Maybe we aren't weaker than our ancestors. Maybe we aren't a fragile generation. Maybe we are just living in an environment we haven't evolved to survive yet. A hostile environment of overwhelming noise, endless choices, and brutal, unavoidable comparisons. It is a world where we are physically close but emotionally galaxies apart. Walk into any cafe, hop on any subway train, sit in any university lounge. Look around. Dozens of physical bodies, occupying the same physical space, but their minds are miles away, locked in the glowing rectangles in their hands. We have forgotten how to look strangers in the eye. We have forgotten how to strike up a conversation with the person sitting next to us. We use headphones as a shield. We use our screens as a defense mechanism against the vulnerability of the real world. And the physical toll is mirroring the mental toll. Our postures are slumped from staring down. Our eyes are strained. Our sleep architectures are destroyed by the blue light and the late-night anxiety scrolls. Physical exhaustion amplifies the psychological loneliness. We are tired in our bones. Deep, profound, life-altering relationships require the exact things that algorithms actively hate. They require time. They require silence. They require shared boredom. They require difficult, uncomfortable conversations. They require friction. Friction is the resistance that builds the muscle of intimacy. But the modern world trains us to eliminate friction at all costs. We want next-day delivery. We want instant messaging. We want instant gratification. But you cannot overnight ship love. You cannot swipe your way into a deep sense of belonging. Belonging requires you to show up, over and over again, in the physical world, flaws and all. But despite the anxiety, despite the burnout, despite the overwhelming isolation, we log back in every single day. Why? Because we aren't just addicted to the platforms. We are addicted to the possibility of feeling something real. A new message, a new video, a new person. The tiny, desperate hope that this time, the void will close. This time, I will feel whole. But it never does. The void is unfillable by digital means. Because the cure for a human problem is human connection. Messy, unfiltered, physical human connection. So, if technology is actively rewiring our personalities, our attention spans, and the very nature of our relationships, what will a human being look like in 20 years? Will we adapt and learn to set boundaries? Or will we forget what true intimacy even feels like? A long, sprawling conversation with absolutely no phones on the table. A friendship that doesn't require constant digital updates to remain valid. A quiet, beautiful, breathtaking moment that is never photographed, never recorded, but simply lived and held in memory. These are incredibly simple things, but they are rapidly becoming luxuries of the past. The greatest act of rebellion in the modern world isn't to smash your smartphone or move to an isolated cabin in the woods. You don't have to throw your technology away. The real rebellion is to remember how to be a human being inside a system that is actively designed to turn you into a passive attention consumer. The rebellion is to learn how to sit with yourself in a quiet room and not panic. To endure the silence and let your own thoughts surface. To build slow, deep, friction-filled relationships. To look people in the eyes. To feel your actual, raw emotions, whether it is grief, sadness, or joy, instead of immediately scrolling them away to numb the pain. Because the greatest threat we face as a species isn't that artificial intelligence will become smarter than us, or that robots will take our jobs. The greatest threat is that human beings will become entirely hollow on the inside, that we will lose our empathy, our patience, and our depth, while the whole world applauds us digitally for our avatars. We are standing at a precipice. We have to make a conscious choice about how we want to live. Do we want to be users, or do we want to be human beings? Do we want a network, or do we want a community? Do we want followers, or do we want friends? And maybe that is why, Despite being the most technologically advanced, hyper-connected generation in the history of the universe, we have never been so desperately alone. We traded our village for a global stage, and we lost each other in the crowd. But the ultimate question, the one you have to confront when the audio of this podcast fades into silence and you are left alone with your thoughts, is this. If the digital world is reshaping our minds, our desires, and our fears with this much invisible power, how much of who you are right now is actually you? And how much of it was designed by an algorithm?